Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common sense superheroes with David and Greg.
Guess who's back? Back again. Greggy's back. Tell a friend Gregory is back. That is Eminem, but he is Greg. I'm your host, David. We are back. It's been way too long. Somebody decided to go out to Utah and spend some quote unquote family time. Did you see? I have some good friends, Lisa, Barlow, Heather, Meredith, Whitney, Angie. Did you see any of those out
I
there?
I did, but I promised them I would not repeat what they said
Okay.
about you.
Okay. Good to know. They live out there. They're good friends of mine.
Yeah. No, they're not.
Did you have a tell us a little bit about trip? Was it I heard right after I did have some friends that actually went and they left and was coming back almost crossing paths with you. And they said after they left, dang near 2 feet got dumped on them. So you must have got snowed on pretty good out there.
It's a fact, man. It's funny how the good Lord works. I've been talking about this place to my girls for 5 years now and talking about, like, every time we've been out there, it's literally been, like, the only way I can describe it is you feel like you're on the inside of a snow globe, and it's just beautiful, beautiful little Christmas village. Like, it's a perfect little Christmas town, winter town. It's amazing. But lo and behold, we get out there and they had no snow all year. Plenty of snow on the slopes and stuff because they blow it and they make sure that stuff's taken care of. That's their
Yeah.
moneymaker. But just the overall visual, the scenery was not what I had been painting the picture in my daughter's head. But it was actually kind of cool for me because it was the first time I was able to see it with actual, the real topography and I love the mountains and I love nature and that stuff. So it was really cool for me to see it in a kind of a different setup.
Yeah.
But then the day we got up to go skiing, we had about inch and a half, 2 inches of light dusting on the ground from the night before, and then it started coming down a little bit, and about 50 something hours later, we were going, okay, we've seen the snow. That's enough. You can stop now. Now, truth be told, it was a great trip, absolutely spectacular, and memories were made, and more important to my daughter's pictures were taken. Uh, but truth be told, the conditions for their first trip were less than ideal. We went from, virtually no snow anywhere to it was a blizzard while we were trying to ski and snowmobile. And you're talking visibility issues for amateurs on skis and snowmobiles already. It was I hate to say it was having my girls there made it the best trip to Park City I probably ever had, but the actual activities were probably the least enjoyable I've ever done because the conditions were just so cold and windy and nasty.
Well, you've apparently brought it back to the East Coast with you because they're getting butchered up north and as far as like New York and things like that. So you brought the bad weather back with you. I say bad, but bad for New York City for that sure. But Park City, I guess now would be the perfect time to go to Park City. It's probably beautiful now that it's all fell down.
Yeah, had we worked the calendar a little bit or had some more flexibility, we even discussed the idea of maybe trying to stay a day or two. But I got teenage girls; they have real lives back here in Georgia they needed to get to. It was all I could do to pry away, especially my oldest daughter, from her social life for damn near a
Of
full week.
course.
So I love you, Bailey. I appreciate you coming on the trip with Daddy. It was a good time, and I'll remember it forever.
She'll remember it when she gets old, and that's what they don't appreciate it now, but they definitely do later. What was was there a stereotypical not stereotypical, was there just a moment that you're like, "Okay, this was the best moment," like, I'm out to eat, I got my girls and my lady with me my wife with me, like, is there a moment that stood out?
It not so much for me because and I don't know maybe if it's the little bit of differentiation between just, you know, without sharing too much baggage, having gone through a divorce and essentially being a part-time father. I mean, I've had over 10 years now of really learning how to embrace and cherish any moment with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, truth be told, and it sounds sappy and cliche, but and I get emotional just anytime they still spend the night under my house. Like, just for me to be able to go to bed at night and have my girls under the same roof as me feels like a special thing as a divorced father. So, truth be told, that there was nothing about the trip that I'll remember a particular moment. It was more so just, being able to, like I said on all my social media posts, to be in one of my favorite places with my absolute three most favorite people. Why try to wrap all that up into one little moment? Why not just appreciate the entire week?
Yeah, the divorce part does add a part to it, is makes it more sentimental as well. But just the fact that they're growing older and they ain't got many more trips like this, they're not gonna want to go with dad and stepmom, much longer. So I'm glad you enjoyed it while you had and appreciated it. It's a beautiful thing. I'm a little jealous. I mean, not the I don't want to know what it costs, but it looked pretty though. It looked nice.
Well, we haven't started driving any
Once them
sponsorships
bills
on this
start
damn
coming,
podcast yet. So, needless to
yeah.
say, you hadn't helped pay for that trip.
Well, I did not as of yet. But listen, we are back and there's so much that's going on, so much that has happened between celebrity deaths, politics, Olympics, all kind of stuff. But we put it out there on social media while you were away. I was like, hey, is there anything you would like for us to cover? Any kind of topics, any kind of, you want to get our perspective on things or ideas. And we did have a huge, huge feedback on that. And I mean, there's like 4 people, but still, I tell you, it counts, baby. It counts. That is a start. We
That
had a
is at
few people
least
reach
4
out.
people more than should be listening to this garbage.
Exactly, exactly. Speaking of that, the first one up, Mr. Troy Mulkey, who admittedly does not listen. I was a little pissed about that. I was like, would you stop listening to the Real Housewives of Atlanta podcast, companion podcast, and listen to our show, damn it? But he is loving the clips, which if you will follow us on social media, we do put out pretty good clips of the show to try to reel you in. And I think they're great personally, but he hit the topic he wanted to bring up, which I'll talk more about Troy in a little bit after we go through this topic. But the topic he wanted to bring up is speed cameras in school zones. Do you think they're necessary to help as far as slow down speeders, or is it just a money grab and the money goes to certain municipalities? What is your take, Gregory?
Well, since it's the very first topic, I'm gonna throw you an off-speed pitch, and we're gonna go curveball first. I think both of those are just the excuses that people use to try to make it sound somewhat appealing and give some sort of positive light for why they're doing those. But I think it's more of just a psyop to see how much control we'll give to the government.
That's that's deep. That's deep. That's a lot
Think
more
about it
deep.
though, dude. All of my, my navigation apps tell me how fast I'm going. If speed cameras and stuff can give me a speed ticket or a running a red light ticket for camera, who's to say that Waze doesn't start sending my information to the local PD and they go, "Hey, Waze told us you were going 18 miles an hour over the speed limit at 4:23 p.m. on Saturday, so here's your ticket." It's a slippery slope. And sure, saving kids sounds great, and sure, more revenue for the city sounds great. But I'm just telling you, more and more with the technology available, I think from time to time, and I think speed cameras and those red light cameras are an example of this. I think they throw out little things like that that can kind of be seen as harmless. And again, hey, we're saving kids, or hey, we're raising money for tax projects. But at the end of the day, I think that was a little bit kind of like the COVID stuff. I think they were trying to test to see what will they allow us to do and how much control will they give us.
Deep in the conspiracy theory wormhole. I'm talking about he went out to Utah and got introspective on some things out here. That was a little deeper than I wanted to go, but now that you do bring that up, I believe it might be Progressive or Allstate that I believe you can put in a little beacon of sorts that keeps
Safe
up with your
driver discount,
speed,
baby.
and you get a safe driver discount if you're driving safe, which sounds great. However, like Greg said, that's just another way to track you. So you may be onto something with that. I didn't think about
But
that.
if any of our insurance clients at Middle Georgia Insurance want to keep their safe driver discount with Allstate, by all means, we recommend it.
Okay, well then there you go. As a plug, as a shot that plug in there real quick. Me personally, I believe it started out with good intentions. I think. And they claim as if they were going to do it just 1 hour before school lets out, or before 1 hour before school, 1 hour after school, and in between the cameras aren't working. But there have been cases in which you have got a ticket when either school was out or it was not in the allotted time that the cameras are supposed to be videoing. Now, in most instances that I looked up, they did go back and throw out those cases. However, it costs you a day to go to the court and to put up a fight against it, and who knows what that costs as far as a day off work and things like that. So they made it a hassle, probably hoping that somebody would just not just say screw it and just pay the whatever it may be, $75. That's less than taking a day off work. So I think it may have started with good intentions, but I'm with you in to some degree in the fact that I think it's a bit of a money grab, and I think Troy's onto something. I think it's a big money grab, and I think you had a buddy also comment on there, and he apparently got popped twice. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
it was twice. Come on, bro. You got to slow down, bro.
I mean, and Dan's got kids, and I hate to pick on him. Dan's about my age, maybe a little older. Dan's got grandkids now. He should be driving slow and not dealing with this in school zones, man. He's got a youthful community to protect.
I am not a big fan of that because I'm not a big fan of the cameras because there's times where I'll go by and little lights flashing for school to slow down, drops from like 55 to 25. But I know because my kids are in school that school's not in. Why do I got to slow down? It's just ridiculous, and I would hate to get popped in one of those instances. But now people that pass buses when they have the little red stop sign out, throw the book at them bastards. I can't stand that. And you see it all too often. I see it on the news. That if you can't stop for a bus that is stopping to get kids off or on, then they need to take your damn license away. That's ridiculous.
Well,
That's
it brings up an old question, and I've asked this, and I've never really gotten a good answer to this. If speeding is such an issue from a safety standpoint, and the highest speed limit in our nation, 70 miles an hour, why does my truck go 110?
yeah. That's because if it didn't, you never know when you're gonna need to book it and take off from the cops, Greg. Everybody knows that. What if I need to
Or like you
go?
said, or they know human nature is to be on the negative side of things like that, and speeding is an easy way to get revenue.
That's true. Also, like, I need it to be fast sometimes. What if the coffee hits and I'm away from home and I gotta get it home quick? I gotta go 70? No, I need to go 85 and get home ASAP. Okay. So Greg's trying to be a communist and take away our speeding vehicles. He wants all electric. Jeez. But let me get on Troy for a minute. First off, Troy, why ain't you listening? What's the deal, bro? I listen to your shit. And he's a good follow on Instagram. I will give him that. But Troy, we used to go to a gym called Metroflex ATL, one of the most badass gyms I've ever been to. Even The Rock used to come to it, and he actually did a photo shoot for Under Armour in there. But I will say Troy is built like a little shit brick house. If you look up dictionary shit brick house, that's what he was built like. Just deadlifting all the gym, all the weights in the gym. I would go in and be pissed off because I couldn't find any 45s plates or 2.5 plates. I would look over and I'd see about 6 or 7 just behemoths over there, just juiced to the gills, deadlifting everything in the damn gym. Deadlifting, squatting, everything, just taking over everything. And every day I'd say, I'm about to go over there and I'm about to take at least 4 45s and dare them to say something. But I didn't. I was like, you know what? I better not mess with them because they get a little aggressive over there. But they did have some donuts. I think I saw bourbon in there one time. They were doing deadlifts and bourbon, barbells and bourbon, I think they called it. But it would take deadlifters, those powerlifter guys, they take the 45s and the 2.5s because if you you go up in like 5-pound increments, you couldn't find it in the gym.
Yeah, I remember the weight metrics of weight plates is about like the scoring system in tennis matches. You're just not sure why they did it that way.
But I give Troy a good. I joke around a little bit. He's a good dude, a new father. I'm proud of him. I'm happy. He is a good follow. I should have his Instagram so you can go follow him, but I do not. But he's a good guy. But good question as well. So that takes us to our
And
second.
since he doesn't listen, he'll have no idea what we
He
even
have
said.
no idea what that. Much like Brooke, have no idea what the hell we said. So he needs to listen. Is all I'm saying. The next ones we go to a friend of mine named Nathan White, who was wrestling coach from Mill Creek, who's put together a hell of a program over there. So you might think to yourself, wrestling coach, teacher, what's he going to talk about? He wants to talk about the Canadian curling cheating scandal. Greg, are you familiar with the Canadian curling cheating scandal?
Okay, so here's the irony. We probably made comments 3 or 4 times while we were out in Utah because we were trying to keep up with the Olympics and watching it. And every time I turned on the Olympics, all it was ever on was curling.
It's always that way.
But I got to tell you, I don't know. Like, did the Canadians use steroids? Is Balco involved? Is Victor Conte like it looped back in? What? I don't know what happened.
as far as the Canadians cheating, I will show you a video. Let's see if I can get it here. The Canadians, what happens is, I'll explain it, then once you watch the video. As curling, as you're going, I guess when you release the stone, you're supposed to let it go and it goes where it goes, and then sweep it and try to direct it. Well, the Canadians would go and release the stone, and at the end, just put his finger and like push the stone with his finger in more of the direction he wants to go, which is totally against the rules. Totally against the rules, but yet did it over and over to the point where they got called out. And once they got called out, turns out Canada's not very nice. They started cussing like crazy at the guys and saying, "I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it." And he was like, "Well, I'll show you the video after this." Well, here, let's see if we can see the video. See where his finger comes? He pushes it. Cheater. Look at him. Apparently did that in several instances. So pushed it, and then you heard them just cuss crazy. They went on a full rant in front of everybody, just cussing.
So shout out to Trey Parker and Matt Phillips from South Park for 25 years ago. They tried to tell us all that Canadians were assholes, and we didn't listen.
Yes, and listen, cheaters do not win, except in this case, because hell, they went on to win the damn gold medal. And of course they did. They even got pissed off to the point where they tried to say it was illegal for them to be videoing us because they were videoing and trying to show where they were cheating and tried to make that a big deal. What the hell?
I bet you they'd give up that curling gold if we'd let them win the hockey.
We will get into that tomorrow. Well, I'll get into that in a little bit, but God almighty. But I think this is payback for when Ben Johnson in the 1988 Seoul Olympics, I think, when he got popped cheating in the 100 meters, and they stripped this gold medal away from him and gave it to Carl Lewis, who, by the way, Carl Lewis was cheating too, dog. Come on, everybody knows that. He had all kind of, he got, all of them was cheating. All of them was doing roids back then.
Well, I mean, that goes back to the Lance Armstrong argument. If everybody in the sport is cheating, then you're still the best at it. That's all that matters.
That's pretty much what it is. But I think that's payback for that. But by the way, I would take Carl Lewis's gold medal just for the fact of how horrible he did the damn Star Spangled Banner that time. That shit was awful, dude. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure. Like, you would
I'm
have
gonna save it now. He did not.
Somebody could have told him leading into that brother, you might want to work on this.
He did that where he got caught. He sounds like me. First off, he's like, I'm gonna save it now. He in fact did not save it. It was even worse. So you need to give that up. Speaking of the hockey team, Gregory, suck it, Canada's all I'm gonna say. Women and men dominated, baby. USA, USA.
I'm going to tell you, as someone who has never been a fan of hockey, and as someone who has ashamedly, you shouldn't gamble on sports you don't know, but in my past, I've had up to probably $300 to $500 on a hockey game to try to watch it and to try to make it fun. I couldn't watch hockey. I've never been able to watch hockey. Now, in person, it's a great sport. On TV,
Just
it
about
doesn't
to say that,
translate.
yeah.
I watched the last 2.5 periods of that game like white knuckled, sweating, anxious, and I couldn't really even figure out why. But it was honestly like it was the first time I actually felt like, holy cow, hockey makes sense. And it was a different hockey watching experience for me than I have ever sat through a hockey match. It was awesome. It was great.
I have to give it more. Hockey deserves more. The people in it, the toughness, the straight men and the women are just badasses. And by God, they love being an American. And that is hard to see nowadays when you have people that are ashamed, like the guy that came out and was like, it's hard today. And was protesting the fact that he was hard to wear the stars and stripes when what's going on today. Damn you, get out of here. And then you end up falling. Good for you.
Well, and I don't think there's any weirdness to the fact that hockey is one of the ultimate team sports, and it is not an individual look at me, individual glory type sport. Most hockey players, even the elite NHL level world class hockey players, could walk down most streets in America and none of us would recognize them. It's a team game, and I think that you get a little bit less of that, hey, look at me mentality, and that, oh, I need to share the irony of a podcast host saying, hey, I need to share my opinion with everybody like anybody cares. But some of these individual sports, some of these individual athletes, they feel like I don't care. You look, you happen to be pretty decent with skis on your feet, and I respect that because it's hard. I learned again, it's hard to have skis on your feet. It's not natural. But I don't give a shit what you think about real world stuff because you can go down a hill and not fall over like I do.
But like I said, I got to give hockey more. Just the toughness. There's nobody tougher, both men and women. USA beat Canada at their own sport, by the way. That's got to sting. That's got to sting. And I believe it was 46 years to the day as far as for the men when they beat in 1980, we beat the Russians. So just insane. And after they dominated, there's Cash Patel, the FBI director, in the locker room, just popping beers with just dudes is all I'm saying. Just good old Americano dudes. And he called Donald Trump, and Trump talked to him, and just gave him just a normal dude talk, which locker room talk, which I guess he got in trouble for the first time, but not to that level. But just talk dudes, invited him to the State of the Union address. And I got a little bit of that because he was talking about how just studly and badass the damn goalie was. The goalie stole the show.
Dude, he had a
But
heck of a game.
yes, I think I got a little bit of that of Cash Patel and him talking to them. I mean, come on, man. How do you not like that? And I love the pride in America. Like, and everybody that has been president, they'll call and they'll talk. And I get that, but nowadays it's so political. You can't do that. No NBA team is going to call them, unfortunately.
No, and I saw some backlash a little bit on social media about, well, some of those very same players on the USA hockey team supported the NHL's Pride Night that y'all made such a big deal about on the conservative side. I go, I don't care. I mean,
What does
these
that
guys are
have to do
hockey
with
players.
it?
They go out there and they play a game for a living. If their boss and
Yes.
their team, they go, hey, put on this rainbow colored jersey and don't make a big deal about it. Most of those guys know where their bread's buttered. They're not going to stand up and say something, even if they don't believe it. So I don't fault any of those guys that just went about their course of action, stayed in their lane, and put on the damn gay jersey. Who cares? But these
Spoiler
were
alert.
American kids and they were proud to be
Yeah.
American.
Spoiler alert. Just because you're conservative don't mean you're anti-gay. And that actuality, you don't mean you
No.
care. I don't care one way or the other what two adults do. It's not my calling. So that's stupid. And if somebody made that comparison, that's dumb. I don't get it. But I didn't realize the State of the Union is tomorrow. So I'm sure we'll have that to cover on Wednesday as well. But I'm excited. I love watching the State of the Union. Do you ever
I
watch
do
it?
now.
I enjoyed watching it before just to see how many pauses we were going to get.
Well,
Damn,
I just
Biden looked
meant
like
from 5 or 10 years ago, politics has got a whole lot more interesting in the last decade and a
Oh,
half.
well, true. It was quite boring for quite a while. But the hockey team just looked like dudes popping beers, celebrating. I love it. Just let dudes this masculinity is not always toxic. You got to have some masculinity, and that's just a bunch of dudes in there being dudes, and I love it. And of course, AI had to come in. Speaking of the curling um, fiasco, this is what they released. This is what AI. It's the guy from Canada trying to push it in with his finger. I'm gonna play that again. Watch this.
It's becoming
Oh,
quite evident to me
I
that the
love
entire
it.
time I was in Utah, all you did was play
Love
with
it.
our operating system and learn how to play with clips.
You just get ready, son. It's coming. It's coming. Even more. I only got so many. I got to figure out which ones I can erase and add to it. But yeah, the cheating scandal with Canada. Like I said, cheaters never win, but they did win the gold. But they took it in hockey, so take that. So Nathan, as far as the cheating scandal, when I've come to it, how much does a little finger affect? Which, if you ask my wife, it affects a lot. But how much does a little finger poke affect? I don't know. But it's cheating, and they should have been disqualified. The fact they let them go on is ridiculous.
The point of that I want to make is more of it's a bigger issue out of the microcosm that encounter was. Like in such a world where we know everything's recorded, everything's on camera, like the balls to sit there and argue with something that you know can be proven right or wrong.
No,
And you go, I didn't do it. And
I
you go,
mean,
I'll show you the video.
vividly
Like,
argued.
and it's kind of, man, it makes you wonder. Sometimes I wish, and you and I talked about this on an earlier episode. I sort of wish I had a camera follow me around 24/7 because I think I could win more arguments with video evidence.
I'm glad they don't me because a lot of times I know I'm wrong, and my wife will say, "You said this," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." But I do want it for the damn kids because, damn it, I used to have Ring cameras in their room, and since they got a little older, and I'm a little worried about creepos breaking into them and all that, and plus they just need their privacy. I took it out, but they used to come up and say like, "Hey, he said this or he did that." I'm like, "Well, let's watch the tape."
Yep.
And I was like, and I loved it, but I can't do it now because, like I said, when you get 12, 10, 11, you need a little, privacy. I can't be doing that, but it was awesome at the time when I could just go back and click it. So it's ridiculous that, like you said, it wasn't me. I wasn't cheating, then cussing and going crazy. And then, yes, you were. So Canadians are not as nice as they claim to be. And that takes us to Ty, Captain Ty down in Daytona. Ty is my boy. He threw out there a sports question, another sports question, which is good. Teams that would benefit most from Tyreek Hill. Now, I'm going to say Paul Crew's team off of the longest yard because every time I turn around, Tyreek Hill's getting arrested for something or damn near about to go to jail. So they would benefit the most. But, Greg, what do you think?
I think you can come at this from a couple of perspectives. One, when healthy, you can make the argument Tyreek Hill is one of the top 2 to 3 playmakers in the league, can
Cheetah,
score a
bro.
touchdown from
Cheetah.
absolutely anywhere on the field, keeps
Mhm.
defensive coordinators up at night. You game plan for that guy. He is that special of an athlete. Now, coming off an injury, there's some questions that you got to kind of think. I mean, is there a chance maybe the Dolphins know something? Like, because to let a potential weapon like that go and not re-sign him says maybe they're not entirely convinced that he's going to be back to 100% and be that kind of weapon. You throw in the potential locker room distractions. He is not exactly known to be a choir boy and the best teammate that you want to go out and have beers with after a practice. So I think the team that might benefit from the Tyreek Hill thing the most is the Dolphins. Uh,
Well, you know what? Damn good point. Damn good point. I don't know if that's what he was referring to. I think he meant like who picks up Tyreek Hill, but you may be correct on that. And
I
Dolphins
mean, look, it
seem
sounds
like they're
cliche
just
and simple, but if he's healthy, there is not a team in the NFL that wouldn't want him on their roster because the bottom line is like that there is only a handful of guys that can simply score from anywhere on the field.
yeah. He's definitely a speed threat. Like you said, I think what did he tear his Achilles or no? What did
I
he
think
do?
he
His
he messed up
knee
his knee
tore up
pretty
his
bad.
all out. Like so, I don't know how long that'll take. Now he's a physical specimen, just unreal as far as speed, quickness, and all that. And you may be right with the Dolphins benefiting most, and it seems like they're just tearing down the house. Boy, they're just starting over completely. But I think Tyreek needs to go somewhere, and he doesn't need to be in Miami. He don't need to be in New York. He doesn't need to be in LA. Doesn't need to be in Vegas. Nowhere where there's a nightlife or somewhere he can get in trouble. He needs to go to Green Bay where he can't get in any trouble. Now he probably will have 2 or 3 more kids because there's nothing else to do, but he needs somewhere to have Jordan Love going over top to Tyreek Hill and him doing the Lambeau leap. I think somewhere like that is where he'd benefit with a young quarterback to have that deep down the field threat. But
Yeah, I
I
would
mean,
have I
Kansas
would have
City
liked
wouldn't
to
be
see him
bad,
end
but
up
I
some.
don't think he can go back there.
I would have liked to see him end up somewhere like Pittsburgh if Tomlin was still around. I think that might have been
Yeah.
somebody that could kind of get through to him and maybe see if you could get the best out of Tyreek Hill
Mhm.
again. I think that's going to be the ultimate. The two main factors because of how volatile he is, both physically and emotionally. It's going to be is he healthy? Is he anywhere near 100% physically? And then
Yeah.
what's the relationship dynamic with the coach and team that he ends up on? Does he want to play for them and be a contributing member of a winning football team, or does he want to be the other guy?
You did hit the nail on the head. He does need a coach that can, I say rein him in. That sounds bad, but you kind of need to. I mean, there's just a lot going on with that guy. And, you keep having babies, mamas, and all that, and getting in trouble and not paying this, not paying that. Every time I turn around, there's something going on with them. And it's like, dude, just be great. Just be good. But wide receivers, they're divas. They come with a little baggage, but that's part of the program. You got to have that me mentality. Terrell Owens showed that, and that's what made Jerry Rice so special is he wasn't like that. But that's I don't know. I mean, I say Green Bay. I don't know where he's going to end up, but my money's going to be on Green Bay as being most effective for
But I stand my ground. I think Miami will be the team that benefits most from
him.
the
You ain't
transition of
wrong
him not
about
being
that.
there.
You ain't wrong about that. And buddy Jake, my neighbor, wonderful neighbor, threw in a little jab joke at the end. Is like, how about neighbors with barking, yapping dogs? Now, let me just say, Jake, your dogs do not bother me at all. I don't hear them. I don't pay attention. And you always pay me in barbecue, so you will not hear me argue or complain. So, Greg, do you have any neighbors that are close enough with dogs that bark or anything? Or are
No,
you
David,
the
I am the
neighbor?
neighbor.
You are the
Yes.
neighbor, is what I was going to
We
say.
so let me let you in on a little something. So I believe I believe kids should grow up around animals. So and my ex-wife was never going to have a dog around my girl, so I wanted to have a dog. And while I was going through some transitional plan, lived in an apartment and had to have a small dog. So one Christmas, Santa introduced us to Maximus. And Maximus, and there was a warning sign. Maximus is a Pomeranian Chihuahua mix.
Oh gosh.
Should have known.
Pomeranians, the
So
ankle
here's the thing.
biters.
It gets worse. Max's mom was 7 pounds and Max's dad was 5 pounds. So we were presented with this little puppy you could hold in one hand and they go, hey, it's probably be 6, 8 pounds, somewhere around there. Little dog, perfect for an apartment, all this stuff. Well, Max weighs 20 something pounds because he is an absolute beast. I have not shot
Good
him up with
gosh.
anything, but this dog is 4 times as large as he was supposed to be.
Good grief.
And just
It's like a
the
juiced up
term I use
chihuahua.
to describe Max is he is just generally uncooperative. Like if you
So
want it to be quiet, he's going to bark. If you want him to
that's
be chill, he's going to run like crazy.
that's how I describe my wife on certain times of the month.
Well, she does bark.
She is generally uncooperative. I'll tell you that much. Here's a little story that I'm sure my friend, our friend Andy would back me up on. We first met Greg. You were, I don't think you were married at the time, and or
I was
you
not.
had live in separate houses, and we usually would meet at his. I guess you were fiance at the time, or what was that? She had her own
Uh,
house before that, right?
yeah, we were probably engaged when I met y'all. Yeah.
Yeah. But we went to go get Greg one day and was gonna go inside and say hey, and he's like, "Hey, before you go in now, just know I have some dogs and there's a little bit of hair, a little bit of fur around." I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I mean, we're single dudes. It ain't gonna bother us." We go in this house. When he said there was a little bit of hair around, he meant there was a little bit of places that did not have hair. This was the most fur house I've ever seen. It has one spot on Greg's couch where he sat down, and that was the only spot that didn't have fur. He had fur all over the house. Andy could back me up on this. That house was full of fur, Greg.
That's a fact.
Did
It
you have
was.
2 dogs in?
Yeah, I was a solo bachelor as far as living situation, and I didn't spend much time at all in that house, and it showed pretty obviously.
Listen, the vacuum cleaner would just laugh. He'd be like, "I'm out of here." I saw the
Hey,
vacuum cleaner
can we
walking.
pause this for 1 second? You think?
Yeah, yeah, what's up?
I just got to take a call.
Oh, yeah, well, we can end it right here if you want to. You wanna end it or?
No, we can wrap it up the right way. I'll call him right back then.
All right. Well, that's it for today. We'll get back with so many more topics we got to get into. Uh, so many things have happened, unfortunately. A lot of celebrity deaths, and the unfortunate part, a couple arrests, a lot of politics stuff. But we're gonna try to get back on our routine and maybe 2, maybe 3 more shows this week. Um, Greg, anything else you'd like to add before we go?
No, y'all stay tuned this week. We'll talk about Tucker and Mike Huckabee interview. We'll talk about what's going on in Iran. We'll talk about all the other stuff that's got everybody on pins and needles and not sure what's happening in this crazy world we live in. But till then, like I always say, y'all share this stuff, like it, subscribe, do all the things to help us try to grow this page. We want to try to have a positive impact. And till next time, you say your prayers, get in your Bibles, and we love you and God bless.
Appreciate it, guys. Peace.